Pain is the sister who fights at my side. Pain recalls to me my wrongs, that I might strive in pursuit of penance. Pain insists that I stand my ground, steady my aim, fight on, though my lifeblood falls like rain to the thirsting soil. Pain is an ally. Pain is a friend. Pain is truth. From Sister Erinika Nabotu. The Order of the Valorous Heart is one of the major orders militant of the ADEPTA SORORITAS. The order was founded in honor of Saint Lucia by the Ecclesiarch Alexis the 22nd, the long-lived successor of the great reformer Sebastian Thor in the 36th millennium. At the time of the order's founding, the Convent Sanctorum was split between the convents on Ophelia 7 and Tara, which created the orders militant of the Ebon Chalice, Valorous Heart, Fiery Heart, and the Argent Shroud. Sisters of the Order of the Valorous Heart are driven by the belief that they still must atone for the Sisterhood's acts as unwitting accomplices to the renegade High Lord of Tara, Goj Vanda, during the Age of Apostasy's reign of blood in the 36th millennium. Like their patron Saint Lucia, the Order is highly penitent, always striving for atonement for even the slightest perceived sin. A disproportionate number of sisters in this order exile themselves with the Sisters Repentia, compared to the other major orders militant of the ADEPTA Sororitas. Because they're constantly reminded of their part in the reign of blood, sisters of this order can be particularly suspicious of those who would call themselves prophets of the Emperor. The bulk of the Order's sanctuaries lie deep in the Ultima Segmentum, with the vast majority having been established during hard-fought wars against Xenos and traitor forces. Sanctified fortresses stand amidst death-world swamps, jagged mountain ranges, and barren wastelands that were scoured of life millennia ago. Relief sculptures and stained armor-glass panes within these sanctuaries depict Sororitas belligerentating hordes of orcs, driving Necrons back beneath the sands and roasting foul heretics in cleansing flames. Many of these sanctuary planets were plunged into darkness when the Great Rift tore open at the start of the era Indomitus, and were invaded by demons or subjected to mass Drukhari raids. Yet, the Order has not wavered in its faith. Though many of its preceptories are cut off from the light of the Emperor, they believe he still sees their struggles. They refer to this time of great trial as the hour of abassination, for the Imperium Nihilus has been blinded, just as Lucia was. But, like their matriarch, the Order of the Valorous Heart have steeled themselves to endure whatever torments are thrust upon them. The Order's history. In both their battle tactics and acts of worship, the Sisters of the Valorous Heart adhere to doctrines of stoicism and forbearance. Their practices stem from the teachings of their founder and matriarch, Lucia, who, among Dominica's companions, was said to be a paragon of constancy. She was the level-headed counterpoint to Catherine's burning passion. When the Sisters of the Convent Sanctorum were split, Ecclesiarch Alexis XII wrote that Lucia's Order of the Valorous Heart was to be the immovable anvil to the fiery heart's crushing hammer. Yet from their inception, the Valorous Heart were far from a purely defensive force. Led by their matriarch, they aggressively sought worlds upon which the roots of heresy had grown deep, where witchcraft and profane mutation ran rampant, and then set themselves to the task of systematically expunging all traces of faithlessness. The Order willingly plunged itself into protracted battles amidst horrific conditions, laying siege to sorcerers' cults on death worlds and storming Xenos planets that were inimical to human existence. Aside from being undeniably effective in grinding away the enemy, these tactics also served as a form of penance. In the oldest manuscript of Lucia's teachings, recorded during her first address to her order, she explained that the ADEPTA SORORITAS would forevermore carry the burden of atonement for the actions that she and the daughters of the Emperor had taken in supporting the pretender Gauge Vanda. Lucia's martyrdom came at the hands of a recidivist sect. She was captured and tortured over long solar months, the heretics attempting to break her spirit and make her recant her faith in the Emperor. Lucia's eyes were gouged out, and she was forced to listen to the screams of 1,000 innocents as they themselves were tortured to death. Unknown to her, a group of her own sisters were amongst those killed in this way, but it is said that not one of them uttered a sound as they endured their torments, so as not to cause their matriarch any more pain than she had already suffered. Lucia eventually died, and the recidivists claimed loudly that they had shattered her resolve. But over the following solar decade, the Order of the Valorous Heart tracked down and captured every last member of the sect, all of whom confessed to lying about the matriarch's lapse of faith. What became of those heretics is not known outside the Order. What is known is that the contingent of Sisters Hospitaller from the Order of the Silent Vow has been seconded to the Valorous Heart ever since that time, and have been putting their knowledge of life extension and pain enhancement to use deep beneath the sanctuary of Lucia's reprisal. Now, here are some of the most notable campaigns. The first, Savavan Crusade, in 555 M38. Having fallen prey to a cult uprising amongst its bloated population of crypt-dwelling tomb helots, the cardinal world of Savavan is retaken by the Battle Sisters of the Order in a decade-long crusade of fire and zeal. The Orphean War of Faith, from 903 to 922 M39. With several worlds firmly in the grip of the vile adorators of chaos in the distant Orpheus sector of Segmentum Tempestus, the Order responded to the call to arms issued by Archconfessor Marduk of Helvamon, who was later beatified. Guided by his sacred vision of the Emperor, the Archconfessor rallied the remaining Imperial worlds behind him in a gruesome 20-year-long campaign that would see a full fifth of the sector's population die the Order of the Valorous Heart purged several worlds of the vile touch of demons and mutants, renegades, and Chaos Space Marines alike. The Order, however, did not stand alone, as it fought alongside their sisters among the Order of the Black Sepulchre, the Space Marines of the Angels Revenant Chapter, and the secretive Chamber Militant of the Ordo Malleus, the Grey Knights. The Ashen War in 307 M40. The Ashen War was a series of brushfire revolts and incursions that erupted across the Ashen sub-sector between 300 M40 and 307 M40. After a bloody chaos cult-inspired revolt on the cardinal world of Dimamar exposed how overstretched Imperial control over the surrounding region had become, slowly stripped of much of its defenses over the course of several generations to provide for the needs of other pressing conflicts nearby, this border region was ill-equipped to stave off catastrophe when it came. The Imperial counter-invasion was led by the combined forces of two Space Marine chapters, the Dark Hands and the Exorcists, backed by the Necromundan 54th and 60th Rifles of the Astra Militarum and the Battle Sisters of the Order of the Valorous Heart. The Exorcists quickly realized that one of the keys to victory would be locating and destroying the single dark master of many names that lurk behind the divergent chaos cults in the region, a demonic creature that on Dimamar was known as the Horned God. The Exorcists finally cornered the Demon Prince in the maze-like pre-human ruins of the dead world of Belfargo. The Exorcists, with the aid of a hastily composed Ordo Malleus strike team, managed to banish the Demon Prince back to the Monasterium, but fully a third of the Exorcist chapter had perished. With this victory, the tide of the war was now in the Imperium's favor, and within a standard year, the sub-sector was brought back under Imperial control. The Serferis Secundus Intervention in M41. Several squads from the Order of the Valorous Heart were sent to help augment inquisitorial forces in quelling a series of mutant riots on the planet of Serferis Secundus in the Calixis sector. The Aculus Crusade in 777 M41. The Order participated in the Aculus Crusade to retake the Jericho Reach in the Ultima Segmentum for the Imperium. The Battle of the Penitent in 938 M41. The Order of the Ebon Chalice and the Order of the Valorous Heart suffered great losses against war boss Black Axe's Orc hordes. They were eventually pushed back to the walls of the Cathedral of Saint Dufault. The attackers were held back only due to the determination and sacrifice of hundreds of Sisters Repentia. They bought enough time for the Battle Sisters to open the vast cathedral gates, and the greenskins were slaughtered shortly after by 24 penitent engines. The Plague Wars in M42. The Battle Sisters of the Order of the Valorous Heart aided the Ultramarines in the defense of the realm of Ultramar from the assaults of the Death Guard and other Nurglite forces in the Plague Wars. And the Unwelcome Resurrection in M42. Amidst the darkness of the Imperium Nihilus, The Order established a bastion in the Vesmir system. Nearby Imperial forces flocked to the highly fortified sanctuary ensconced in the orbital hive city above Vesmir II. There, they pooled what strength they had to fight back against the marauding heretic Astartes and chaos demons. Elevator mine shafts plunging down to the gas-enshrouded planet surface provided a steady flow of raw materials, while the hive's manufactoria implemented exhaustion shifts to ensure that the Sororitas and Astra Militarum's troops in the city were stocked with the necessary tools of warfare. The Sisters of Battle and their allies successfully defended the hive against 2 chaos assaults, but as the heretics prepared for a third siege, the mineshaft suddenly ceased functioning. Massive energy signatures showed that some eldritch force had awakened beneath the toxic clouds of Vesmir II. Canoness Jocindir recognized the threat, informing her sisters that the planet they were stationed above was a Necron tomb world that was just now stirring into action. Her tactical assessment was that the hive city could not hold against the invading heretic Astartes without supplies. However, both enemies could be defeated if they were drawn into battle against one another. The sisters prepared to descend to the surface and draw out the awakening Necron army. Before she disembarked, Jocindir issued a standing order to the Astra Militarum defending the orbital hive, telling them to hold the line no matter the cost until she returned. The Order's Combat Doctrine. The example set by Lucia in her life, as well as through her martyrdom, has led to the Order of the Valorous Heart employing methods of warfare that are unique among the ADEPTA Sororitas. At the outset of battle, the sisters pray to the Emperor and their matriarch for the strength to endure the horrors to come. They then launch offensives to cut off their foes' supply routes and lines of retreat. With the enemy locked in place, the Order begins sabotaging any infrastructure in the area. Water supplies are drained, fuel reserves destroyed, and pipelines transporting noxious substances are vented into the atmosphere. On feral worlds, anything that could provide the enemy with the least sustenance is incinerated. In short order, the battlefield is transformed into a harrowing desert, with a grinding war of attrition remaining as the only path to victory for either side. It is in these conditions that the Sisters of the Valorous Heart excel. No hardship is too great to shake their resolve, no pain so severe that they waver in their duty. They press the attack with one measured advance after another, inexorably driving their way into hostile territory and paving a path before them with the corpses of their foes. The glacial press of power-armored warriors moving forwards is enough to erode the morale of even the most dauntless enemies, as is the sight of sororitas who continue to stand and fight after enduring multiple grievous wounds. When the sisters find themselves on the defensive, their unmatched grit allows them to withstand punishment that would scatter a less faithful force. Their hymns ring loud as barrages are leveled against them, and should the frustrated foe resort to an all-out assault, the sisters sally forth with unfailing vigor. Due to the methods of combat they employ, the preceptories of the Valorous Heart typically boast greater numbers of exorcists and retributor squads than those of the other orders. They use their heavy weaponry to establish solid bases of long-range fire, raining death upon the enemy's position and punishing anyone foolish enough to advance towards them. Many amongst the Order say that they can feel the beating of Lucia's noble heart in the lightning-fast thud of bolt shells. Others hear her cries of defiance resounding within the sky-tearing crack of exorcist missiles. It is little wonder that they see miracles manifesting in the fires of their bombardments and are so eager to charge into the infernos they have wrought. The Order's beliefs. Given the nightmarish conditions in which they choose to battle, it is no surprise that many Sisters of the Valorous Heart bear gruesome scars. The stigmata of torn flesh is seen as a badge of honor amongst the Order, for it is a reminder of the sufferings of Lucia. A sister who loses an eye in battle is considered truly blessed, for it allows her to better understand the pain endured by her matriarch and to see more clearly the path of faith before her. The Sisters of the Order rarely accept numbing agents or pain-reducing stims when their wounds are being tended to, even where surgery or amputation is required. To avoid the experience of pain in this way would be to deny the power of faith to overcome all suffering. Their training procedures and rites of worship have also been adapted to pay homage to the trial of its founder. Upon induction, each battle sister must memorize the hymnal known as the Passion of Saint Lucia, reciting all 555 verses at specific points throughout the day. The sisters also submit themselves to various acts of excruciation. These serve as penance for the sins committed by their spiritual forebears. They pray for the daughters of the Emperor with their hands held over open flames, and they ask for absolution whilst pressing the teeth of ceremonial chainswords into their flesh. And the Order's appearance. The Sisters of Battle of the Order of the Valorous Heart wear black power armor as well as black cloaks with white or sometimes red linings. Their order badge and ecclesiarchy symbol is red. And the Order badge. The icon used by the Order is a white Maltese cross with a red heart in the center. The Order's banner depicts Saint Lucia, a single drop of blood running down her cheek. Sometimes she is represented with Gorge Van Dyer's severed head, which the daughters of the Emperor received after Alicia Dominica executed him. These depictions reinforce her image as an ideal battle sister.